When I was a teacher, I used to joke around with my students about how if they ever did ever see me without makeup, they would say, where did Miss Swearingen go? Or they would be like, oh, you know, put it back or something. But anyways, this is my unadorned face, and it has something to do with what we're doing today. What are we doing today? Today I'm going to be talking about the reads that I finished recently. I have finished several books, 4, and I have a handful on the go that I can talk to you all about. And I thought while I did that, I would put on makeup. If this isn't your kind of deal, super chill, really relaxed, not in a rush kind of video, very chatty and like just getting ready together in the morning. If this is your kind of video, then hi, can't wait to hang out with you. If this isn't your kind of video, then I will see you all in my next one. But yeah, if you're all interested in getting ready with me and finding out what I've been reading recently, then I would encourage you to subscribe. I don't know where I'm going with this, and to stick around, but we're gonna be jumping into the video right now. I'm not gonna talk about the makeup because I think so few of you are actually interested in what I'm putting on my face. So I'm not gonna actually talk about the makeup. I'm just gonna be talking about my recent reads and what's going on with my channel. What is going on with my channel recently? Gracious, I feel like so much has been going on. Let me blend this in, y'all. So the first thing I want to talk about is actually something I've never mentioned on my channel, and I'm not quite ready to fully investigate right now, but I wanted to tell you all that I did monetize my channel for a couple of months, and very, very, very recently I turned all of that off, and I'm really loving the decision that I made. And I will go more, if you're interested in monetization, YouTube monetization, the behind the scenes of how that works, and if you are particularly interested in that, then I will definitely make a whole dedicated video about that. Just know that I have at one time monetized my channel and now currently I am not monetizing, and I don't think that I will change that mindset or that decision anytime in the near future. So if you are seeing ads on this video, those are YouTube ads. Those are not from me. And yeah, I just wanted to be really transparent about that in this moment right now and let you all know that a video all about monetization and what that looks like, if you all are interested, is going to come up very, very soon. When I say very soon, I actually mean that a video about my monetization journey or about monetization of some kind is going to come out by the end of the year, likely. So, do you see how I'm giving myself a lot of grace and a lot of space to talk about things? That's better for me. As I've been finishing the base of my makeup, I was thinking about how I want to talk about the books in this video. So I think I'm going to start off with the worst read and work my way through to my most favorite read of the last week or so. So the worst read is actually going to be a DNF. That in booktube terms means that I did not finish it. And the book that I didn't finish was Beneath the Scarlet Sky by Mark Sullivan. My nose was itching, and now I've wiped away all of the concealer on my nose, and so I'm just reapplying. Okay, so where was I at? So Beneath the Scarlet Sky by Mark Sullivan. This was a book club pick with the Up to No Good book club, which is a book club that I am a part of, and a lot of us have channels here on YouTube, and so you will probably hear a lot of us talking about Beneath the Scarlet Sky. I am going to leave the members of the Up to No Good book club linked down below, and that way you can hear a wide variety of opinions if you would like. But here's mine. So, Beneath the Scarlet Sky is a World War II novel set in Italy, and it follows a young man. So I DNF'd, I DNF'd Beneath the Scarlet Sky because, well, first of all, there was like a prologue, and it was not a prologue in the sense that it was giving you a bit of information before you start the book about the plot and the storyline. The prologue was an introduction, and I was like, that is a huge mistake for a publisher to make, to get those two things mixed up. So we've since found out that this was self-published, and it has been, this book itself has like been on the Amazon selling charts for a very long time, and has taken the reading world by storm in some ways, though I hadn't heard of it until it was suggested from the Up to No Good Book Club. But anyways, so as I was reading this, all of a sudden I'm reading this prologue that's not a prologue, it's the introduction. I was like, okay, I'm gonna let that go. And then I noticed that the writing was really, really simple. And I'm sorry, y'all, I'm a literary fiction bee over here. I am a literary fiction snob. I don't love this about myself, okay? I don't love it about myself, but I noticed bad writing, and this was not good writing. And then what happens is, this is not a spoiler because I only got through 50 pages. The main, let me see, Pena? What is his name? Pino. Okay, so Pino, he is talking about how he falls in love with, Pino is our main character. He talks about how he is falling in love with girls left and right and all over the place. He is got his heart eyes on. He wants to have a girlfriend. He randomly meets a gal named Anna and asks her to go on a date to the movie theater. That night he goes to the movie theater and Anna doesn't show up. He is stood up by Anna and some stuff happens at the movie theater. And then Pino proceeds to talk about Anna for the next several pages. And I'm like, you didn't know Anna? She said yes to you. She stood you up. You said that you were all about the girls. I don't know why you were stuck on Anna. And then the scene changes and all of a sudden he's not stuck on Anna anymore. And I was like, you know what? I'm just not buying what you're selling, Mark Sullivan. I know I'm not, and I'm not going to pretend that I am. And I'm not going to try and work myself to get on your level with the story that you're telling. And so instead of doing that work and trying to figure out why I didn't like it or what was working, what wasn't working for the rest of the 400 pages that I was supposed to read, instead I was like, I am done. I am done and we are going to say goodbye. And so I DNF'd Beneath the Scarlet Sky. So my hair is driving me bananas. It's getting quite long on the sides and I am trying to grow it out. And I am in that really annoying stage in which my hair feels unruly and kind of long and a little bit awkward. But I have a haircut in about 2 weeks. Hopefully I will make it before I go bonkers myself. Who knows, I might just take some scissors and go at it. I try and not ever do that, but it has happened before, okay? The next book, I feel kind of bad for putting it in such a low slot in my recent reads. It was the book that I enjoyed the least after Beneath the Scarlet Sky. And unfortunately, I had read this author before and I was very hopeful that one of her books would work for me. And in some ways the books did, but in some ways it didn't. So let's talk about it. I'm talking about Possession by A.S. Byatt. So this book was written and published in 1988, and it won the Booker for its year, which is very exciting. I tend to enjoy Booker winners. And the premise of this is that there are two academics who have come together because they are noticing that a couple of two academic poets set in 1988, that should be helpful. They have come together because they have noticed that there are two Victorian poets that looks like their paths may have collided in a very intimate way. And those are based off the poets of Robert Browning and Christina Rossetti. Now, if you followed my channel way back in October of last year, I read some Christina Rossetti Rossetti poetry on my channel, and I finished one of Rossetti's book of poems, and I loved it. And I was very hopeful that because Rossetti was a character outline for one of the main characters in this novel, I thought, oh gosh, I'm going to probably really enjoy it. And I will say that the first half of this book worked for me quite well. There is this tension that is built from the fact that you want to know whether Ash, who is the Browning-like character, and Lamont, who is like the Rossetti-like character, if they actually did have interactions and if they had some sort of intimate relationship. And there's all this made-up primary documents that A.S. Byatt wrote, so there's poetry and letters and diaries, and gosh, that alone is incredibly impressive. And then there's the main storyline of these two academics trying to come together and figure out what's going on with these primary documents, and it feels so exciting and really fresh and new and impressive because, again, Byatt wrote all of this source material, this primary source material, and it is impressive. It sounds like Victorian literature. It reads like Victorian literature. And then we get to the second half of the book, and I think that that's where Byatt reveals that she is not great with plot, because for somebody who was so meticulous at creating all of this primary source material, somebody who is so intricate and detailed about all of these little things that she is putting together to make this book complicated and interesting and very academic, it seemed like she kind of just, the plot was very contrived, especially as you got closer and closer to the end. And I was like, that's so strange. I thought that perhaps she would be able to give me something that I wouldn't have expected and surprise me in the way that she did with the first half of the book. And she just wasn't able to do that. So here's my final conclusion with Byatt. This is what I've figured out about her. I find Byatt slightly stuffy. Like, I just want her to poke fun at herself. I just want her to crack a joke about how persnickety and uptight she is. Because when I'm in her company, at first I'm like, this is kind of different. Someone very smart, and I'm in the company of a genius. And after a while, I'm just like, can you just start making fun of yourself at the fact that you take life quite seriously? And it seems like everything is just so, I don't know, buttoned up and perfected in a way. Yeah, and so I think because of Byatt's uptightness, I don't really think that she's the author for me. I've read 2 of her novels now. I read A Biographer's Tale, and now I've read Possession, and both of those were just okay and not really propelling me to want to read more. So Byatt, I'm breaking up with you. I recently bought this Twin Flames glitter for the eyes, and I've just been absolutely obsessed with it. I'll show you the sparkles on the back of my hand, but I'm absolutely obsessed. How pretty is that? Like, just how gorgeous. Like, look at that, y'all. I really love glittery, beautiful, shiny, lovely things, and so this is just right up my alley. So I'm trying to think, what do I want to use this for today? So my next favorite, I'm going to leave my favorite for last, my next favorite read, and we're getting closer to the books that I really enjoyed quite a bit, was Anything is Possible by Elizabeth Strout. Elizabeth Strout recently was longlisted. Her book, Oh, William, was longlisted for the Booker Prize for this year. And interestingly, Oh, William is the 3rd book in her literary series, the Lucy Barton series. So, and so here's what happened. I was like, they were recommended to me. This Lucy Barton series was recommended to me by Fraser Simons at the channel Springboard Thought. And I was like, okay, I could definitely do the audiobooks. They're not super long, and I am always up for a good listen. So, Anything is Possible by Elizabeth Strout is the 2nd book in her Lucy Barton series, and it was the only audiobook available immediately. And so I just decided, why not? I'll just start with book number 2 and I will just see what happens from there. These books should work also as standalone individual reads. I think that that's how this whole series works, and I actually think that that's how a lot of Elizabeth Strout's books work. She has another series, Olive Kitteridge, or Olive Kitteridge, which I think won the Pulitzer Prize. And then she has a follow-up novel called Olive Again, and I think you can read them separately or possibly out of order. Please let me know if you've read these novels, if that's true. But anyways, so I started with Anything is Possible in this Lucy Barton series, and I really enjoyed it. It is a collection of short stories that centers around a very specific town. This town that this mysterious character to me was from Lucy Barton, and it's really good at talking about a small town and the interconnectedness of one another when you are interacting in a more tight-knit community. And so it's like the guidance counselor is the sister of someone else's story, and you end up hearing more about the guidance counselor that you heard about, or that you read about, for me heard, in the previous story. And so it was interesting to try and shape these characters out, and having not read or listened to the first book in the series, but I still really enjoyed the short stories. I still thought that there was definitely some that worked better than others, but whenever the story had to do with the Barton family, which I felt Strout's writing had the most energy when she was writing about that family in particular. Whenever the story centered around the Barton family or their mystery or the townspeople talking about them, I was hooked, super engaged. And then there would be stories where it wouldn't interact with the Barton family as much, and I noticed for me, myself, I was a little less engaged. So that was my feedback. I really, really, really enjoyed Anything is Possible. I thought it was a great listen. It was a quick listen. And now I've moved on to O. William, which is the new release, the one that's on the long list for the Booker. Still having not read or listened to the first book. That one is coming, and I'm enjoying O. William as well. I'm finding Strout's writing very charming, very honest, and just gritty enough to keep me really engaged. I'm going to change the color of the sparkles a little bit by adding some gold on top. I'm going to be using this like gold color on top, and I'm going to see where that takes me, although I don't want too dramatic of an eye. I'm not doing much today. So the next book that I finished was for GARBAUGUST. GARBAUGUST is a host that I'm eventing here on BookTube with a bunch of other dirty hosts. And we are just having a ton of fun reading bad books, garbagey books, books that are considered bad, books that are perceived as garbage. We've got a lot going on in that realm. And I finished my first GARBAUGUST read, which was some fan fiction. It's some Harry Potter fan fiction by a writer called Miss King Bean 89. And the books are typically it's like a 1,000-page book, okay? It's called All the Young Dudes, and All the Young Dudes is a fan fiction that took several years to finish by this author named Miss King Bean 89. And the first 4 years are often grouped together as the first volume in this fan fiction series. This fan fiction is accessible on audio, actually, from YouTube, but also I have the PDF, which I've been reading from, and I downloaded that with the help of Fraser Simons at the channel Springboard That. So anyways, all of the preamble aside, I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. There is just something really special to me about Harry Potter, even though I don't really like where J.K. Rowling has navigated her career to at this point. Harry Potter was a really pivotal read for me when I was much younger, much younger. And since then, since I've become an adult, I really haven't revisited the books or the world very much. I've tried, but it's just not the same on a whole bunch of different levels. So I've just never really dove back into the world of high fantasy. I've never really tried to reproduce the experience by like getting into like fantasy books or YA fantasy, or even just like the offshoot of Harry Potter is like not really that existent in my life, the influence of Harry Potter. But then I found out about this fan fiction from Fraser Simons, and we started reading it, and I was like, why does this world feel so warm and cozy and familiar and wonderful? Yeah, it feels like you're back at Hogwarts, and the world is incredibly safe. It's all inclusive. There is no discrimination. There are trigger warnings at the beginning of the chapters. I mean, it is just such a lovely and safe experience that it's really difficult to be mad at it, even though I would say that the first two books, it does feel like a young person blogging in their room about Harry Potter. And then I feel like the writer was like, oh, I have people reading this fan fiction. Wow, I'm going to actually make this pretty good. And by year 4, we're cooking with gas. I mean, it's super fun. Remus is there. He's getting into trouble. There's some wolfing going on. The boys, these young dudes, they're getting into trouble. We got James Potter. We got Lily Potter. We got the Black family. I mean, we got everybody, okay? And it's just like a ton of fun. I feel like Miss King Bean 89 understands something about Harry Potter and Harry Potter fans that J.K. Rowling cannot touch herself. And one of the things is the fact that Miss King Bean 89 clearly loves music, and so there are a lot of really fun British musical references like David Bowie and the Beatles. And I'm gonna stop talking about this because I clearly am having a lot of fun with it. And it was, again, a read that I finished very recently, and just so much fun. So much fun, especially like for GARBAUGUST. GARBAUGUST is supposed to be fun, and it's really cool to have found something that is as fun as I had hoped GARBAUGUST would be. My favorite read this week was Sharon Olds' Stag's Leap. Sharon Olds is a living poet, and she is most known for her confessional style of poetry. And I have been wanting to read Sharon Olds for ages. So this week I went down to Barnes & Noble. I saw this there. I saw Stag's Leap there. Came back and basically devoured this in a day. I think I finished it actually the following day in the morning. It's a very slim work, and the poems vary in length. So some of them are full pages with maybe a few stanzas on the other side or a few lines on the other side. Okay, and so what is Stag's Leap about? So Sharon Olds, you'll find out right away that she gets divorced from her husband, and it basically follows the poems in which she is exploring the feelings of her partner in that divorce, her marriage, and what went wrong and what that relationship meant to her and where she was at. Sometimes what I loved about this was that it felt extremely honest. I was like, and it's of course confessional poetry, like it's doing what it's supposed to be doing, but I was shocked at how well it was doing it, first of all. And then second of all, the language is so unpretentious, but it feels so thoughtful. And I loved that. There weren't words that were there that sort of made me feel like she was grasping for something that was just over the reader's heads or anything like that. The language, the best way to describe it is that it just wasn't pretentious at all. And so as I was reading it, I was really just getting the sense of how she was feeling and the sense that she was exploring a relationship that didn't make sense to her anymore. And, oh, wow. Whew. I want to reread it already. It was incredible. I've already got 2 more Sharon Olds books in my online shopping cart, and I wouldn't be surprised if she shows up soon. If she shows up again soon, you know, that's what I meant. For all of you that are involved with the school system in any way, my children are going back to school So, are you all ready? Mothers, fathers, guardians, teachers, educators, all of y'all out there. Are you all ready? I think I am. This summer has been a long one. It's been quite trying on my spirit, and I am ready. I'm just so ready. I'm ready for the kids to head back to school and have experiences that I am not shepherding, and that they can report back to me on. So that's kind of what I'm excited about. And of course, since I'm sitting on this side of that interaction, like I'm waiting for my children to go back to school, the day that they go back to school, I'll be like, I can't believe that they're not here. I want them back with me. I miss their company. So I also know that the way I'm feeling has a lot to do with where I'm sitting in regards to the school year. You know, it's about to start. Okay, so I think that's it for getting ready. So now I'm just going to wrap up what I'm currently reading. I'm currently reading a bunch of stuff, but what I have in front of me, well, I already told you all that I'm listening to Oh William by Elizabeth Strout, and that's going quite well. I'm also, you know, continuing my adventuresome attitude in GARBAUGUST. So I'm reading The Devil's Web by Mary Balough, which is a super Regency romance. So here's what's funny. I'm about a third of the way through this, and here's the deal. I read a third, and then I go to my husband. I'm like, Ted, let me tell you what this book is about. Oh my gosh. So I was like, it is about James, who has scorned Madeline, and he has been away for 4 years, and now he's come back, and he's not sure if Madeline still loves him, and if they still have feelings for each other. And then I was like, oh, and I've just basically told you the whole plot of Persuasion. So yeah, so anyways, I am seeing Jane Austen's influence, i.e. the plot or the premise of Persuasion being totally borrowed and put into The Devil's Web, which is hilarious. It wasn't until I was articulating it out loud did I realize, oh, Jane Austen, I see you, girl. I see your influence hundreds of years later. So this is going well. I can't say that I'm like, you know, devouring it super quickly or anything, but I am enjoying it. And is this trash? It's not, no. But is this perceived trash? Would the judgiest part of myself judge Shelley myself on the subway if I was seeing her reading this? Yes, I would. So perceived trash, though, I don't actually think this is trash. And then the final book is a buddy read that I'm doing with Kim at Middle of the Book March, who is wonderful, and I've really been enjoying this buddy read so far. This is our first buddy read, by the way. And we are reading This Tender Land by William Kent Krueger. Okay, so this is a me thing. This is not William Kent Krueger's fault at all. I went into this novel thinking that it was going to be the peak of literary beauty. I thought that this was going to be art on the page, that I was going to melt at the language, that I was going to languish in it, cozy up, and just be like all about this book. That's not what this book is. So this is my fault, guys. This is my fault, y'all. Okay, this is not what This Tender Land is. This Tender Land is a coming of age story that is done very much more like a commercial read. So there are a lot of plot points. The action starts basically immediately. You care about the characters immediately. The premise is really kind of chiseled out for you. It's very understandable, and plot ensues. Like basically what happens, I'll just skip. Basically what happens is that you meet this young man, Odie, who is living at a Indian training school with his brother. And Odie's a troublemaker, and his brother is not. And there's a friend named Mose, and there's a little girl named Emmy, and through a whole bunch of twists and turns, they end up on the road together, essentially. And it is about this aspect of found family. It is, again, coming of age, so sort of figuring yourself out, figuring your internal life out, and it's a lot of fun. It's just not exactly what I had expected. And that's okay. So now that I readjusted my expectations, I'm really, really enjoying it. But for a little while there, I was like, what is this? Like, what is this? I'm sure I will be able to share more shots with you. I'm sure that I will share more thoughts with you as they are formed and as I continue to discuss this read with Kim. But otherwise, yeah, it's working well for me now, but it took me a second to get there. So yeah, anyways, that is the final look. I think we are going to go back to school shopping ever so slightly. I would like a calendar, like a paper calendar, to write down some important dates so that I can keep my mind clear. And oh, I need to buy my oldest son a lunchbox. So these are the things on my agenda today. Yeah, so that's it. That's it for me. What have you been reading recently? Do you kindly disagree with some of my opinions in this video? I would love to know. And yeah, let me know how you enjoy this format of video. That would also be quite helpful. All right, so that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so, so much for being here. I deeply appreciate it. And I will see you all in my next one. Bye, guys.